Yo, 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 what's poppin', everybody? Welcome to Straight Talk TV. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you haven't already, do me a big solid. Hit that subscribe button for me, y'all. Tap that little bell notification icon so you get notified with the latest content, updates, and information from me, Straight Talk TV. Yeah, hit that like button. Let YouTube know you want to see more of this here content. And let's jump right into this, y'all. We got the opening statements from the prosecutor in the YSL Young Thug Rico case. And yeah, we gonna check it out. We gonna break it down, do our reaction to it. And you know what I'm saying? We're gonna see how it go. You know what I'm saying? Before I jump into it though, I wanna say big salute and big shout out to my bro Southside, my bro TY. You know what I'm saying? Keep doing y'all thing for real. And salute to all of the supporters out there. Y'all really keep me going. All of the love you guys show, it really means something to me. And yeah, you guys keep me going. So appreciate you guys. And let's jump right into this reaction. You know what I mean?
And 53 is what I expect the evidence is going to show. So I'm going to, in speaking to the jurors regarding the witnesses and the instructions that the court has given them, I'm going to say to them, some of them, as I've already alluded to, some of them may not be wanting to speak. Some of them, you're going to see evidence that some of them are afraid, some of them are embarrassed, some of them are intimidated, some of them don't remember, some of them don't want to remember. That's simply what the evidence will show. And Your Honor, what I'm asking that the jury does in listening to and considering the testimony of any such witnesses is, as the court has already instructed, which is just to use your common sense because you don't decide who you.
So already off the rip, the prosecutor is sitting here trying to get the jury and the judge, or be allowed to have the jury and the judge hear testimony from witnesses. But how can you be a witness and you don't want to be a witness? But from people that don't want to be involved in the case, don't want to talk about the case, don't want to be involved in the case. Already they are trying to jump out the gate with shaky information, with so-called evidence that's already not looking or passing the eye test. So I don't understand how can you try to admit evidence from people or alleged witnesses that want nothing to do with the case. At that point, if you don't have those people to back up what you're saying, at that point it's just hearsay. And hearsay isn't really admitted into a court of law.
Believe. We're asking you to listen carefully, take notes, and pay attention. So there's nothing in that slide 53 that is in any way infringing on or entering.
Very quick.
What I expect the evidence to show in this case is.
Now she's going to talk about what she thinks the evidence is going to show. But y'all just listen to this because it's going to be hard for any evidence to kind of back up the stuff that she's saying if you ain't got the cooperating witnesses to back up what you're saying. Let's just check this out.
That YSL, the group made up of the defendants sitting before you today, along with other both indicted and unindicted co-conspirators, YSL operated as a pack. The quote that I read.
So is it a pact or is it a gang? Because you tried to tell people it was a gang, but now you're talking about it's a pact. And even if it was a gang or a pack, like you called it, you still got to show like, okay, people was giving orders, people was taking orders. You got like, it's a whole lot of stuff that I really don't think they're gonna be able to get to without a reasonable doubt.
To you earlier, it's from one of my favorite books as a kid, The Jungle Book. In case anybody recognized it, those.
Wow, really, really, really. We got a prosecutor that's standing in the court of law in the United States of America in a courtroom, and she's quoting quotes from the Jungle Book. Can anybody make that make sense? This is a person who spent 8 years in college to become a lawyer, and then all of the other various educations and stuff to become a prosecutor. Standing in a courtroom of law in the United States of America, quoting a children's book. She's standing in a courtroom quoting the Jungle Book, a children's book, in a court of law. That should let y'all know the level of aptitude that they're going to be dealing with in this YSL case. Like, this is going to be some Mickey Mouse stuff right here if we ever seen it.
Rudyard Kipling's words and not mine. But they are appropriate for where we are today. For 10 years and counting, the group calling itself Young Slime Life dominated the Cleveland Avenue community of Fulton County. They created.
Ma'am, maybe that's just the neighborhood where they all grew up in. Maybe that's where they all from. Yeah, you ever thought about that?
Crater in the middle of Fulton County's Cleveland Avenue community that sucked in the youth, the innocence, and even the lives of some of its youngest members.
So I guess none of the entertainers, none of the rappers, singers, comedians, actors, I guess none of them have no effect on the youth. But because you're trying to prosecute him, you want to try to make it seem like that oh, he sucked into you. Probably because he's an international superstar, ma'am. Maybe that's why the youth is drawn to him. The same way they drawn to Taylor Swift, the same way they drawn to Justin Bieber. You know, maybe that's the case. But see how like when they want to paint you in a bad light, they'll take something and just bend it and conform it to whatever it is that they trying to do or whatever they trying to say or whatever light they trying to paint you in. This is why it's really no such thing as justice in this country because we don't have a justice system that's predicated off facts and reality. We have a justice system that's predicated off of what can we bend and what can we manipulate to put you in a certain light so we can say, oh, we're justified in whatever we're about to do to you. That's what kind of system we have.
Now, the evidence is going to show that this group started out as a group called Rock Crew. And Rock Crew stands for Raised on Cleveland. The evidence is going to show you that Rock Crew, in fact, is a criminal street gang. It's not the kind y'all are used to. If you're more familiar with the national gangs, such as Blood.
So is it a gang or is it not? Because she just contradicted herself in two sentences of her own argument. She said Rock Crew was a gang that formed on Cleveland Avenue, and then she turned right back around in the next sentence and said Rock Crew is not your traditional gang. So which one is it, ma'am? You just contradicted yourself.
and the Crips that operate in LA or in Chicago. But make no mistake about it, Rock Crew is and was a gang. It consisted of...
See, there she go again. She say Rock Crew is and was a gang, but then in the last sentence she just said before that, it's not your typical gang. Boy, I hope y'all see how this trial is finna go. This is about to be a big crock of bull crap going on with this here. I'm telling you.
3 or more members with common identifiers, signs, colors, linguistic choices that committed crimes on behalf of and in furtherance of Rock Crew itself. That particular organization aligned itself under an umbrella of a larger, more traditional street gang.
Y'all see right now, this is people talking that ain't got no involvement in the streets, ain't never been in the streets, don't know how the streets go. This is what you call trying to piece together information or piece together evidence to paint somebody in a certain light. Anybody that's familiar with the streets know that, you know what I'm saying, gangs don't go around putting themselves under umbrellas. Gangs don't go around, oh, I'm a part of this, but my parent company is this. No, you either this or you that. This right here is already demonstrating and showing people that know. The ones that don't know, this might get by them. But the ones that do know, this is what you call narrative painting. Gangs don't go around putting themselves under umbrellas, ma'am. I'm just saying.
Called Sex, Money, Murder, Bloods. They adopted the nomenclature. They would do things like replace C's in words with the...
Wow, where have we heard this before? This is the same arguments that the prosecutors tried to use in the YMW Melly case. Same arguments. Oh, they replace C's with B's and B's with C's. People that's non-gang affiliated do that. People that ain't been put down still do that. I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong or any of that stuff. I'm just saying the simple fact of doing something like that does not mean you are part of a gang. Your whole neighborhood can be, you know what I'm saying, blood territory. And you know what I'm saying, when you dealing with motherfuckers in your neighborhood, that's what you do. You know, when you dealing with them, it's just a neighborhood thing. It don't mean you affiliated. It don't mean you down, been put down, none of that stuff. It's just your neighborhood. But see, these prosecutors, they know this type of stuff. But when they get in these courtrooms, they make these inflammatory statements, and that's all this stuff is. It's sort of like buzzwords. They make these inflammatory statements to catch your attention. Oh, they doing this and they doing that. It's attention catching. It catches your attention. It's an inflammatory statement meant to catch your attention. Doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't mean it's true. These are all tactics they use to paint you in a certain light so they can get the conviction that they're looking for. These prosecutors really don't care if he's innocent or guilty. They just need to generate as much revenue as they can for the state and get as many convictions as they can put under their belt. So when they go to run for another office or decide to be a politician, they can stand up in front of you and look, I was tough on crime. I was tough on gangs and vote for me. Like that's all of this stuff is meant to do. For real.
Letter B, because traditionally Crips and Bloods were not aligned with one another. So Cleveland Avenue became Believeland. Some of you may have indicated during voir dire you've heard or are familiar with the Cleveland.
I just got one question. I just got one question. Replacing a B with a C and saying Cleveland Avenue, how does that relate to a crime? Saying Cleveland Avenue, how does that relate to a crime? I mean, if you sitting here trying to put a murder jacket on somebody or a robbery jacket on somebody, saying Cleveland and replacing a B with a C, how does that relate to a crime? You know, stuff like this would have never happened back in the 90s. This is some new age stuff because back in the 90s, they had more gang units and more gang activity than they do now. And none of this stuff was ever used because you know why? All of those people back then understood that you could be throwing up B's or throwing up C's and not be a gang member. You could be non-affiliated. You could be false flagging. You could be misrepresent. You know what I'm saying? Misrepresenting. They knew all of this stuff back then. Nowadays, they just don't care. They just want to get a conviction. The best way they can get a conviction, they don't care who they throw under the bus to get it.
Avenue area. Maybe you've even heard of Cleveland Avenue Day. The evidence will show that this is where that comes from.
All right.
You'll hear evidence that YSL, they had opposition within the city of Atlanta and Fulton County.
Ma'am, I don't know if you ever lived in the ghetto or the hood or, you know what I'm saying, anything like that. Everybody got ops. Just the simple fact that you got ops doesn't mean that you're in a gang. For real. It does not mean that you're in a gang because you got ops. I'm non-gang affiliated right now and I got ops. For real. All thing I do is make YouTube videos and I got ops. That don't mean anything.
That there were other gangs that were at various points in time at odds and even at war with YSL. One of those gangs was known as the IF gang, IF, Inglewood Family.
Now, I want y'all to pay attention to what she's about to say next. I want y'all to pay attention to this. And the reason why I say that is because they finna expose themselves majorly. They finna expose what the real reason they going after Young Thug is. And I'm gonna tell y'all about it in a minute. But first I want y'all to hear from them. You know what I mean? I'm finna tell y'all what the real reason they going after Young Thug is. But listen to this.
Hear experts come in here and tell you more about how the Inglewood family Bloods in any way made its way down to Fulton County. You will also hear evidence about how one of the members, one of the beloved, of whom YSL considered an opposition group, was gunned down. Donovan Thomas on January the 1st, 2015. January the 10th, my apologies. 2015. Gunned down.
Now y'all heard that, right? Now, this is the real reason that they are going after Young Thug and trying to prosecute Young Thug. The young man or the guy that they're referring to that was gunned down from the Inglewood family Bloods used to be in a relationship with prosecutor Fatty Williams. Yes, 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 yes. The guy that they're talking to, and I just find it strange that this is opening statements and they come out the door with this. They come out the gate with this. They just told on themselves as for the reason of this whole prosecution. Prosecutor Fannie Williams is still salty and mad that her boo thing got murdered. Yes, yes, yes. She was in a relationship with the guy who got murdered, and they think Young Thug and YSL had something to do with it, or members of so-called YSL had something to do with it. So now they going after YSL because she got a broken heart. They just told on themselves, folks. This is why they trying to prosecute Young Thug and hit him with a Rico for gang this and gang that. The prosecutor is in her feelings because somebody that she probably had feelings for in a relationship with, having relations with, got gunned down. And they think young YSL and Young Thug was the reason he got gunned down. So now they going after him. Things that make you go,
Openly and notoriously. Because the evidence will show that part of the reasons that criminal street gangs operate the way that they do is to establish dominance and to establish control and to establish fear. You're going to hear that this gang stole at least 3 lives from this community over the last 10 years. At least 3 that are referenced in this indictment. You'll find that as a result of this gang's activities, a young woman who had nothing to do with either YSL or any of their opposition was gunned down by people trying to get back at YSL.
So wow. Do y'all hear that? They want to hold YSL accountable instead of going after the people, mind you, who really did it. They want to hold Young Thug and YSL accountable for somebody shooting at them, and a young lady lost her life who didn't have nothing to do with nothing. But somehow it's YSL's fault that somebody was shooting at them. If somebody is shooting at YSL, wouldn't that make them a victim? Since when in this country do we hold the victims accountable for a crime? This brings back to what we just said before. They just want to prosecute YSL and Young Thug for the murder of the prosecutor's boo thing. Somebody was shooting at YSL and a young lady got hit. And instead of going to try to prosecute the real murderers, they want to put that body on YSL because somebody was shooting at them. Wow. I'm telling I can see it now. I'm telling y'all, get ready. This is going to be a wild ride.
For what they did. You'll hear evidence that after the murder of Donovan Thomas, no less than 50 shootings occurred over the course of the next several months. You'll hear evidence that hundreds of bullets were fired into cars.
Ma'am, when somebody's family member gets gunned down, I don't know if you know how the hood go, but when somebody's family member get gunned down, it's gonna be retaliation. That doesn't mean that it's gang initiated or gang affiliated. That could be family members looking to get some get back. Real feel. That could just be family members looking to get back. That could just be friends of the person who got shot looking to get some get back. Doesn't have necessarily mean that it's gang affiliated.
Into homes and into people as a result of the rift Young's limelight had with other people in the community. And the fact that YSL does not mirror all the customs victims of a criminal street gang, the evidence will show makes it no less a criminal street gang.
Once again, she just admitted out of her own statements in her own mouth that YSL is not the typical street gang. But when she's trying to get a conviction or she wants you to convict Young Thug, it's a gang. It's a gang. But then she'll turn around and say it's not a typical street gang. I mean, wow. Where do they find these people? She's basically doing the defense job just by running her mouth.
The defendants on trial here today have, through their actions, displayed not only their allegiance, their alliance with one another and with the gang itself. Through their actions, they have displayed an unspoken agreement to participate in that gang through a pattern of illegal activities. And again, the head of this gang is seated in this courtroom too. The last paragraph of that poem that I read that spoke to you earlier goes as follows. Because of his age and his cunning, because of his right.
This is argument. This is not.
What's your objection, Mr. Harvey?
That it's argument.
Thank you, defense attorney, and thank you to the judge for realizing what she was about to do and stop her from breaking yet another court rule. They so desperate and thirsty to try to get a conviction that they constantly break rules. The judges had to admonish them, the prosecutor, so many times already, and this is just the first day of the trial. Leading up to this day, they've been admonished so many times already. Now watch this.
Okay, Mr. Harvey, hold on. Madam, it is argument at this point in time, so I'll sustain the objection, okay?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. It's argumentative at this time, and even the judge agrees with it.
All right.
The evidence will show that these defendants, that the members and associates of YSL, they knew who their leader was, and they knew the repercussions of not obeying their leader. You will hear evidence that when members and associates of YSL got in trouble, got locked up, the first person they called was either this defendant or one of his family members. Now, they didn't call.
Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this. She just said out her mouth that as soon as one of the members of YSL got in trouble, they would call the defendant or one of his family members. Keep that in mind, because she's about to say something else contradictory in the very next sentence. She's going to say that they didn't call, Young Thug directly. They didn't talk to Young Thug directly, but she just insinuated in this statement that she just made that they did. But now she's going to contradict herself in the next sentence and say they didn't. Everything is a contradiction with this prosecutor.
Call him directly because he knew and they knew that he needed to have distance between himself and the crimes members and associates of YSL were committing on behalf of the gang. So they would reach out.
And maybe when they got in trouble, they was calling because they knew Young Thug got money and he could bail them out. Because maybe she's never been to jail, probably never been to jail, but when you go to jail, you call your family members or you call your friends who could possibly come get you out. Like, if you know your uncle's a crackhead, you wouldn't call your uncle to come get you out of jail because you know he ain't got no money. But if you knew, let's say, your sister had some money or got money and could possibly come get you out, you would call her, wouldn't you? Wouldn't that make more sense?
To his sister and have his sister reach out to somebody else and eventually get back to King Slime, as they call him. You will hear evidence that members
Who was King Slime?
of YSL committed armed robberies. You'll hear evidence that to slime someone is to do them dirty, and that sometimes members of YSL committed crimes against other family members of their fellow gang members. You'll hear evidence that when one of the associates or members of YSL did something to what Jeffrey Williams had perhaps considered a friend, they were threatened with their very life. Tell them to get that stuff back or they will be killed. They're accused of, and what are you here for today? The judge read.
Now, listen to this. She's going to try to lay out what the charges is and still doesn't give a clear indication of what the charges is.
The 4-hour-long indictment to you 12 months ago. He didn't read it to you again today, but he generally gave you what each defendant is being charged with and what the state has the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt as it relates to each defendant. But just to broadly touch on those, the crimes that the state is proving to you over the next several weeks include conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. That is an absolute mouthful. So we'll just say Rico.
Yeah, it is. It's a mouthful.
There's no substantive allegation of RICO violations here. And by that I mean there's a difference. Here the state is alleging that these defendants, they had an agreement, unspoken, but no less an agreement, to obtain property, things of value, cell phones, cars, stolen guns, through a pattern of illegal activity. The evidence will show that it's sort of like if two people said, okay, you know what, we're going to go toilet paper our dean of admissions.
Now look at this lame scenario she lays out. I mean, golly, you got to do better than this.
House. And they sat there thinking and talking about it, and someone overheard them and reported them to the police. And the police came and said, okay, I'm going to arrest you all for conspiracy, for planning to go and do this. The evidence will show that it's not enough that they were planning to do it. Somebody has to do at least one thing in order for those two people to be found guilty of conspiracy. So say one of you goes and says, let me go get the toilet paper now. Then y'all are in trouble. That's what we have here, and that's what the evidence is going to show. There was an agreement among the members of YSL to obtain property and things of value through a pattern of illegal activity. And it is their actions over the course of the last 10 years. It did not stop, by the way, in 2015. It didn't stop at all. it continued up through and even into 2023, after this case was indicted, as the evidence will show.
Well, y'all see it right there. You know, that's that's they case. Opening statements from the prosecutor in this Rico case. I'm telling y'all, this is weak. This is weak right here. For real. But y'all hit the y'all hit the comment section down below. Let me know what y'all think about this whole situation. And if you haven't already, please do me a big solid, y'all. Hit that subscribe button for me. Tap that like button. Let YouTube know you want to see more of this content and you liking what you see. You rocking with me. Yes, sir. It's Straight Talk TV, man. I'm going to catch y'all on the next go round. Straight Talk is out.